This one and this one. They look the same, right? Well, yeah, think again.
Same, but different.
I'm here today to explain why one manager using a 3-4-3 can have a record like this, and another have a record like this. Now, much respect to what Glasner has done at Palace. He's won them some silverware, and he's just made them a horrible team to face week in, week out in the Premier League. That being said, the fact that I'm doing this video comparing Palace to United, I think is a damning indictment of how far United have fallen under Amorim. Whenever Amorim loses and Glasner wins, we always hear the same thing. Oh, they're using a 3-4-3. See? It's not the system. I'm here today to prove how the formation on paper can be so different to the system that the team is using out there on the pitch. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, guys. Subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into it.
Okay, let's go.
I'll start off with the in-possession side of things before I get into the world of differences there are in the out-of-possession side of stuff. Starting off with build-up, we know that both teams predominantly kick it long. With Palace, if they are to build short, there's none of this centre-back stepping up in the midfield. Instead, they'll push one of the centre-backs along to go into the full-back areas, push one of the wing-backs higher, and then you're getting players like Wharton still in that midfield area. So if they're going to play that bounce pass, it's going to be someone like Wharton doing it. As opposed to United, where they will push either De Ligt or Maguire into that midfield area, and they're the ones playing the bounce pass. Now, for me, this is obviously just common sense. You want your midfielders in these sort of areas. You don't want centre-backs receiving with it back to the opposition. It's been a huge topic of conversation ever since Amorim arrived. Recently, we've sort of scrapped that short build-up. It's interesting to see if Amorim stays, and if we do try and do that short build-up again, will teams take advantage of this system? But for now, it's clear. We're trying to find Seshko as quick as we can, even if that is just from the goalkeeper. With Palace's wing-backs, you are getting a lot more goals and assists out of them, particularly Munoz in that wing-back position. Very much suited to it, a lot better in the attacking sense than what United have in the full-back areas. It's why United have relied so much on having Ahmad in there, because the likes of Dogu, Mazraoui and Dalot simply have struggled in the attacking side of things when they are the main outlet for United in the wing-back areas. With Palace, we know that they're largely a counter-attacking team. They're very good at getting their number 10s in these sort of areas, so when they do win the ball back, they're able to take advantage of the spaces that are there either side of the opposition centre-backs when they push their full-backs higher when they are attacking. So Palace do use those dangerous areas when they do win the ball back. They're a very direct team, we know that. They're not afraid to go direct into Mateta. They're not afraid to go direct into their wing-backs or the number 10 either. Going to show this example. There's a few times before this where Palace tried it and it didn't work. This one does come off. They're able to get Mitchell into a very dangerous area. And I think this one goes into Munoz and is a very good save by Alisson. So they're not afraid to go direct and trying to find those spaces in behind the defence. But United this season have also been very direct as well. There's not a lot of difference in the attacking side of things. You can see that in the number of goals that both teams have scored. But defensively, this is where the huge differences are going to lie now. Palace will shift from a 5-2-3 to a 5-4-1. They'll focus on compacting those central spaces, trying to get teams playing wide, where the wing-backs or the wide centre-backs can be very aggressive then in trying to win the ball. They do really well in limiting the spaces in between the lines, as you can see here with a 5-4-1. Both of the number 10s of Palace are very close to the two in midfield. They're stopping teams trying to play through the middle of them, and there's just not much space in between the defence and the midfield lines, forcing the play out wide and just getting their really aggressive play then to try and win the ball back. You can see the numbers that Palace have in that central area whenever Liverpool are trying to play through it. Whenever the ball goes into that sort of area as well then, you've got the wide centre-back in there closing that space down, just really making sure Liverpool can't play through that middle and can't get in between the lines. The Palace centre-backs aren't asked to chase super high up the pitch in order to press. There's less chance of confusion then, and also just less chance of a centre-back being caught out of position. So we're not seeing Palace's centre-backs really high up the pitch in these sort of areas, asking them to press. They're happy sitting more in that mid-block. You can see another instance here where United, Euro wasn't quite sure in this instance whether to go up and press, but United clearly are asking him to do that, and this is where it led to that Man City goal, just led to a huge confusion in between the lines, and Fernandes talked about it after that game. With the three attackers staying narrow, it's easier to understand who's picking up who. With United, there's far too much confusion as to who has the fullback, and It's far too easy for our wing back to be pinned and just for us to sit in that back five and for the opposition to progress the ball. Up against West Ham with Palace in the second half, you can see Munoz very aggressive positioning, stopping the simple ball out to the full-back. West Ham then forced to kick it long. Again, up against Liverpool this time, Mitchell now, when the ball goes out to that right-back area, he's straight away pushing up there, and then that Gay on the left-hand side will push up and make sure, obviously, they're completing that back four sort of system then, allowing Mitchell to push up and put pressure on the ball. For United, it's a little bit different, and we can see too many instances like this. Brentford's right back gets the ball. United sit in that back five, Dogu sat on that defensive line. You can see when instances like this happen too often with United, and with Palace, they simply don't, because Palace understand a little bit more when to push that full back on and when for him to stay in that deep back five. United leave these spaces far too often, and they are getting punished because of it.
Is what it is. It is what it is.
Palace don't press high very often, as I've said. But it's not the centre-backs pushing really high. It's the wing-backs instead. They can go man-to-man if needed. They did the same thing to United last season to great effect as well. So you can see how there are different variations in what Palace can do. So they can press high if needed. They can drop back if needed. But obviously they're going to be more comfortable dropping into that mid-block or the deep block in that 5-4-1. And any balls played centrally, they're simply just going to eat it up. As the ball gets recycled here, as Mitchell tackles, you can see the ball comes back out to the left-hand side, and you can see Chris Richards already with Sarr tucked in a little bit. Chris Richards is making sure as that ball goes into Szoboszlai, they've got numbers in there to really stop Liverpool progressing through the middle of the pitch. Again, another instance, as soon as that ball comes in from Van Dijk, 3 Palace players there in order to win that ball back and really force Liverpool into a frantic situation. As soon as Liverpool play that ball through the middle, Palace have the numbers there in order to stop them. They're trying to force Liverpool out wide, and as the ball comes out wide then, they're able to get their wing-backs into very good positions to try and stop that cross coming in. Further examples from the game up against Villa now. You can see Munoz in his aggressive positioning, stopping Villa, playing that ball out to the full-back, and then you can see a little bit later on, this time around, Munoz a little bit later getting there. So the full-back does have a little bit of space in order to play the ball forward, but Palace, they're able to regroup quite quickly and get into that sort of 5-4-1 shape very quickly and able to avoid a very dangerous situation. We saw up against Brentford, a very similar ball came through and United simply just didn't deal with it. Again, up against Villa, as soon as that ball goes into the middle of the pitch, Chris Richards again is there to snuff out that ball and Palace can win that ball back. It was the same up against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Palace were able to stop Chelsea playing through centrally, force them out wide, and then you're limiting very dangerous situations then. It's why Palace have been so good defensively for so long under Glasner. It's clear that Palace just have that identity. They're a counter-attacking team, happy to sit at times and soak up the pressure. There's nothing too fancy. Most things are quick and direct. But you also have players like Wharton and Mateta that do have real class as well. They also got players that are suited to the back five system. Munoz, for example, is your ideal wing-back with bundles of energy, and he's very capable and has quality in attack. United lack that threat from wing-back, and it's clear that we lack that clear identity as well. We're too often stuck between trying to press out from that 5-2-3 when it simply just isn't working. There's far too much space then as our number 10s push forward. There's far too much space in and around our midfield too. Whereas Palace obviously sit a lot more compactly, the number 10s support those two in midfield. United are simply not doing that. And it's why when we are pressing high, we've asked United to go into that 4-4-2 shape more often, because that's a lot more balanced then. In the mid-block, Amorim could easily resort more to that 5-4-1. He's used it at times, but definitely not as often as Palace are going to. This is where I do have a little bit of sympathy for Amorim, because it's not as easy for him to drop into a 5-4-1. Obviously, Glasner to Palace, there's different expectations. No offence to Palace at all. They've done better than United for so long now. But the job at United is always going to come with certain expectations. You're always going to be expected to dominate certain games and play on the front foot. It's clear United haven't done that, but we're caught in between trying to be this high-pressing team, but then also be this team that sits back and plays on the counter as well. It's why we've been so often more comfortable sitting back and playing on the counter up against top teams. But then when we go up against teams that you're expecting to beat, we're like getting stuck in between these moments where we're trying to press high, trying to sit back, and there's a bit of confusion between the players. There's far too much occasions under Amorim where players are throwing their arms out, and there's that confusion in there where players clearly don't know their roles. But after this many months under Amorim, you'd expect, with the time on the training pitch, the pre-season that everyone said that we needed, it's clear that things really haven't improved. And that's the main difference that I saw looking at some of these Palace games and comparing that to what I saw at United. Palace have that clear identity. They know exactly what they are. But with United, they just caught in between being that pressing team, being that team that sits back. And Amorim needs to pick one now. If he's going to salvage his time at United, for now at least, he needs to pick either one of those systems and stick with that. So we negate some of that confusion then. The indecision just leads to gaps in between the lines, and this system has just been exploited time and time again. We saw it last season, and we saw it far too often this season as well under Amorim. There we are, guys. I really enjoyed doing this video, and credit to Glasner and what he's done at Palace. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here, I'll catch you in the next one.